What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the emergency ban list dinging the market. The top decks are still the top decks, but it is only bans. There's no limits, semi-limits, or unlimits. And Arch Nemesis Protos, Mjolnir, 2 barrier statues of Drought and Inferno, Fossil Dynapachi Cephalo, Ouroboros, and Dimensional Barrier are all gone from the game. I think this is awesome outreach by Konami, going in the most timely of fashions to the community, going from a great format to complaining about these cards very rightfully so, and taking care of business. Now, the one that got away seems to be Harpy's Featherstorm by the community reaction, and I do think a lot of the top decks that were starting to fall just a bit will maybe bounce back up through the weekend and following weeks versus the dominant ones, but it's not like the most dominant ones cost the most in the world for certain aspects of their decks. Definitely the Yummy Secret Rare being the most costly one. Now, people are looking for replacements for Dimensional Barrier, and Grisaille Prison, I don't think is it. It was being bought up for Genesis format already, so people had it on their minds, and this super rare is after a couple of $2 ones do end up going towards $4 to $5. There's like 3 left, and there's a lot of sales today. There is an easy access version of this if you don't want the holo though and you just want access. Spellbound, I think, might be a little more likely. Somebody in my Discord was calling this cope, but it's found its way into metagames before, and I think it can do it again. All face-up monsters your opponent currently controls cannot be tributed or used as material for a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link summon until the end of this turn as a quick play spell. I think that this one could find its way in there. Then we have Simul Archfiends getting talked about a lot. It has a super rare and common, the common being out of the 10s, and it reads, this turn either player can special summon monsters with the same card types, ritual, fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link they already control. So basically, Lingering Floodgate turns you to being able to summon one instead of popping off with them continuously, which could be pretty good against some decks like Ryzeal. Then, the old school one that came to my mind is the one from Zodiac format, which I don't think will be doing it, but Forbidden Apocrypha reads, declare one extra deck monster card type, fusion, synchro, or Xyz. If 2 or more monsters of the declared type are on the field, make each player send all monsters of that type from their field to the graveyard. I think the other ones, in terms of Lingering Floodgates rather than being reactives, end up being a little bit better than this one, but I was like trying to find the name of it in my head. My wife really likes Apothecary Diary, so I just couldn't spell this one right. I was like, it's Apothecary. So I just wanted to add that one in for fun. Gravekeeper's Inscription is getting a little bit of talk today too, and it is on very low quantities for its 10 of Dueling Mirrors version and has been going up lately. At the start of your main phase 1, apply one of the following effects till the end of your opponent's turn. Neither player can activate card effects in the graveyard, neither player can banish cards from the graveyard, neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. So again, Lingering Floodgates. People are reactively trying to find ways to stop their opponent from playing the game since so many cards of that fashion went out. I think it'll be a while before we settle into that kind of rot of the format, but we'll have to wait and see what people do come up with at the next YCS. Going through the market that was already changing before this list, because there's not the biggest changes because of this list so far. Shaddoll Fusion Quarter Century Secret Rare spiked because we got a new Shaddoll Fusion that is wind that it's pretty good. Like, it ends up doing so much for the deck, and this engine was already taking off even further, so this was already up, and any hype into it was going to escalate it fast. Despian Lulu Walleth, we already covered this going up, but it's been going up even further. Look at that Starlight rare, and the branded deck is here today. So I wanted to cover the kind of day one listings while they're still relatively not competitive, lower listings. I find it interesting that they're starting under the Blue Eyes prices, but that was the first structure with Starlights, and we've had time to see that from the mass openings of them, none of them are triple digit at this point, and it also got an unlimited print already of the structure deck, and it seems like they had that on tap because unlimited cards were accidentally in the first run of this structure. I think these cards honestly, the Maiden of White and Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon don't look that good, but they're still Blue Eyes collectibles. The other part is their quarter century secret rares, so people could be scared that they would be rewaved as Starlights, where these are starting out Starlight rares, so they'd have to be rewaved as something silly like 30th anniversary rares. And I do think Max Rarity Branded has a lot going for it, but the top one is a staple with now some art from the lore of Albaz, with the Tri-Brigade being on it. It is so freaking cool. I do think that throughout this entire deck, you'll see some fluctuations, some prices come down and then up. I know, if you throw the football and it goes down, it's a touchdown, the John Madden commentary from back in the day. But seriously, I think we'll see a lot of flux throughout here, but having a staple towards the top just makes so much sense in my opinion. And seeing the past of one of the top collectible archetypes of all time when it has direct support go the direction it is, think of the actual quantities of these cards that will go into circulation versus their prices. Now, quarter century secret rare for Ryzeal is doing something interesting between Detonator and Duo. We covered Duo, but Detonator is also going. And then the Malice in Underground got targeted too. So a lot of these archetypes were bubbling up before this list, and for their max rarities, it feels odd for the timing, doesn't it? Glacial Beast Polar Penguin came up in the Discord, and it's been consistently going up. Penguin's got a little new support. It's not like this is exploded in price, but do keep in mind this only has one printing and is pretty good as far as penguins go. And also Great Old Dragon getting a lot of solid sales here, like recently, but a couple the last few days, and it's super low quantities and apparently is a card penguins like to play within their deck. I'm not an expert on that deck other than the fact whenever I see it played, it seems like a lot of fun, and I probably do need to pick it up and just try it out. Finally, on to the communication with Genesis format. They mentioned cards specifically like Mirage of Nightmare seem to be too many points, so people aren't playing it, so we gotta lower those points. So people went and bought out Mirage of Nightmare just on that press release. We see that the Unlim lowest is $4.20, blaze it, and not too long ago, these were selling for $2 while Genesis format was around, and now they bubbled up. So the first editions, I think, are towards $9, I want to say. Yeah, $10 at this point. So people are buying into Genesis even harder. The first point update I expect will cause more so people to buy into Genesis even harder, especially with the communication given so far. Everybody seems really receptive to what they've been saying for the most part. I've seen very little criticism, although I have seen some and I don't agree with it. I think Genesis personally is going really well, and I think that it's going to so far be held and upkept to that standard. Now, when decks do start to get hit further and harder within that format as we see updates to it, how it goes along with sales and market reaction is what I'm more looking forward to. But I think in the immediate, right now, it's up and good things so far from that team. Let me know what you think, though, because again, I have seen criticisms, and there are people who don't just see it all as roses, but I see it as an alternate way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! When Yu-Gi-Oh! Is bad, but the Yu-Gi-Oh! Team seems oddly on it all of a sudden, and maybe it was product not selling that did it to them.